Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and we are at Friday, and I do hope you're all going to have an awesome weekend. Right, so today is Friday. We're still doing mango craft, and I thought we'd do something a little bit different today, so I'm going to explain that as we go along. Yeah, so we're going to be using this wonderful autumn leaf stamp set and also the dies. Now, these were all shown in the haul, so we're going to be using those, but we're going to spend a little bit of time creating the background. Now, I'm going to be using my lovely Walmart watercolour cardstock, and people are always saying, what is it that I'm looking for? This is what you're looking for. So, if I start at the top, it says Jumbo Artist Pad. Only so much will fit in my camera, so I'm scooting it around. There you go. Be Inspired. It's the B Paper Company, and it's the watercolor artist pad, and it's like, let's have a look here. Oh, I'm going upside down, and I do apologize. It's 300 GSM cardstock. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's about $10 or $11, and as I got it in front of me, I can tell you, you get 50 sheets of 9 by 12 inches. So that's what you're looking for in Walmart. Sometimes you can even find it online, and you can get it delivered to your door. And also, while I'm here, and I don't know whether this is going to show up, but the back of your pad, I'm trying to tilt it, has this gorgeous chipboard base to it to hold your paper straight. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick, so look at that. All you need to do is get your craft knife out, and you've made yourself some fabulous book covers, because it's just a lovely weight of material. Or if you're using steel rule dies, you can create yourself something really lovely and thick and chunky. So apart from, you know, the front cover, unless you want to cut that bit out and make a little, you know, ATC card background or something, you can use the entire pad. So just popping that over, because I intend to use the base for book covers, so don't waste them. Right, we're going to do something that I haven't done for years. Yeah, I was mooching about in my goodies, and I've got my scruffy mat at the ready, which is really important, and I'm going to show you. I've had these for years, and I do use them, not very often, but I do use them. And when you've got them, they will indeed last you for life. So you can see just how wonderful and messy they are. And I don't know how much of my box is going to show there, but they are fabulous. You know, it just depends on what you're using them for. Also great for doing stencils. You know, just pop your stencil down, do a wash of water and then some of this, and let the whole thing dry, and then peel the stencil back. So I've got a 24 colour pack here. It's called Brusho. It's crystal colours. Things like this usually come from Germany, although this one says it's made in Sheffield, England. I imagine that the contents actually come from Germany, because when you're talking colour crystals, you're usually talking walnut crystals that have been altered. So there you have that for a little bit of information on a Friday. So my little bit of cardstock, you could use the smooth or the rough side, but I'm going to use the rough. I'm just reaching across my desk to grab it. My lovely little squirty bottle. This is also from Walmart, because you need water to activate your Brusho. And I've also got a brush just in case I want to squiddle a bit around. And I think one of the things I'll do, my paper seems a little bit too large for my mat, and I don't want to do my wood grain bit underneath. So I'm just going to trim a bit off, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've trimmed that down a bit, and I've got like 1/4 of an inch either edge, so you know I'm still going to have to be a little bit careful. And I've chosen the colours that I want, so I'm using sea green, light brown, I'm using orange and crimson, and I'm using leaf green and also turquoise. That's what I've chosen, so that's going to be my blend for my leaves. Now the first thing I want to do is put down some water, so I'm just spraying it here, and I've got a nice puddle. I hope you can see that. And I don't know whether... Oh, it's okay. My wash brush, I wasn't sure whether I'd used it for something else. So I'm just spreading my water out for a little bit, so that I'm wetting up all the area. Because when you're using Brusho, you never know which bit's going to turn out your favourite, you know, for stamping and your die cutting. Right, now your water will obviously force your paper to curl, but don't worry, because you can hold bits down with your finger. Right, I think my water is everywhere. Right, that is well soaked. I'm just going to vanish just for 1 minute while it just goes into those fibres. So quite literally for 1 minute, and I'm going to be right back. Right, so it's been about a minute, and I just want to show you, because your paper will force itself up in an arc shape. So if I turn that on end, see how much that's curled, and that's exactly what you want. So I'm popping that straight back down, and I've got this like a big arch towards me, and that's also beneficial to you because it means you get a good close-up. Right, now the water is soaked into the paper, but it's still shiny on the surface. So I'm going to go in with some colour, and I'm just going to tap a little bit of light brown. So we're going for autumn. Now I don't know if you can see that, but that will kind of like run and fall down the sides as well. You don't have to worry about that because we're going in with the squirty bottle. Now one thing you don't want to do is make mud, and I'm famous for making mud. So this is my sea green now, and you can, you know, as you pop it down, you can basically see what you're doing. Now don't be lulled into a false sense of you know, I haven't got much on there, because you'll see in a minute. And now I want a little bit of orange. I'm just letting that fall off down the sides too. I'm going with a bit of crimson. So if you're sitting there thinking, what on earth is she doing, you're about to find out. So I've got a little bit of crimson, I've got some leaf green, and I am going to use my drying tool in a second. So I do want a bit of leafiness, and also a little more of a turquoisey colour. And that's what you do when you get these. You just punch a hole in the top. Use your poke tool to do it. It's just the best way of not getting stuff everywhere. Right, I think I'm going to go off on the edge there as well. So I'm just tapping the base. Now you can already see how much colour just from sprinkling, but I'm going to go in with some water, and because it's arched, it's going to go off down the sides and assist in the drippiness of everything else. Ooh, isn't it great? You just never ever know what you're going to get. Now, to prevent mud, I'm now going in with my heat tool, and if that's making a noise, I do apologise. So let me just dry this, and I will come right back. Right, so I've dried that, and it's almost flat again, but it doesn't matter, because when it goes through the die cut machine, it'll go completely flat. So that's what I've got at the moment, and that is very dark. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drip some water on there. I'm going to let that sit just for a second, and we're going to be applying some white. So I'm hoping that has soaked in enough. And we're just going to lift away some of the colour just in some of those areas. So you're getting a splashed water look, just like you do with your distressed inks. And I'm going to dry that. And I'll pause so that you're not sitting there for 2 minutes while I do it. Okay, so that's dry, and the next thing I want to do is put down some more water, and I want them to be quite big drips, and I'm concentrating my drips on the areas that I feel are the darkest. And I'm getting my white brush out, and I'm just tapping some of that in because I just want it to be even paler. So I'm just tapping it in here, trying to see where my water splashes are. Right, so it's floated on the surface here, and then I will mist it again. Oh, I missed a bit. So I'm just going to activate that. You can spend hours doing this, you know, I have to tell you. You can have so much fun. You can create landscapes and oceanscapes and autumn trees and summer trees and all kinds of stuff. Now I just need a clean piece of kitchen paper, and I'm going to dab that area. Until I feel I've got autumn. I'm going to use a little bit more water. Because the white does tend to be a little bit chalky in texture, I'd say. So you can see a lot of that real bold colour that went down is now breaking up. I'm just going over all of my drips. And there's an area here that I don't really like, and one there. So I'm just going to let that sit for a second. And then I'm going to lift off. There. So we're now a lot paler than when we started. So if we have a close-up on that, you can see just how speckled it is. Right, now I'm going to dry this. I'm going to grab my gold embossing powder, and I will be right back. Okay, so I had a little tidy up, and I've finished drying this, and this is the result. So we've got all of those colours in there, just really lovely. So that is what I'm going to be die cutting. I decided not to go with gold. We're going to go with Wendy Vecchi's Tree Branch, and this is from Ranger, because I figure, you know, that's autumnal, so I'll go with that one. I've got my dabber. I'm going to use my embossing dabber onto my stamps, And the first thing that I need to do before we do any stamping is I'm going to use the dies from the set, and I'm going to cut the leaves out first. So you can see what I mean here. If I flip those over, you kind of get to choose which bits of colour you want in each leaf. There might be a bit you like and a bit you don't like, and you know, you can just move your dies around onto it. So I'm going to run off and move my dies around on it and come back with my die cuts back in a minute. Okay, so I did that, and I decided that those are the little bits that I'd created that I quite enjoy, and I love that big rusty blob in the middle of that leaf, but I don't want white edges, so I'm going around the edge with some black soot distress oxide, and I'm just getting my blendy tool into that and picking it up. I'm going to just scoot about the edges. That's all I'm going to do. I hope you're all going to have a great weekend. I really do. I'm back in the garden again. I've got a bunch of Mexican petunia that I regret planting. 7 or 8 years ago, yeah, and I've been trying to get rid of it for just as long, so I'm going to have another go this weekend. So I'm going to be on the shovel all weekend trying to drag that stuff out. I warn you, unless you're putting it in a pot that's kind of like raised up off the ground, don't ever plant it. It will take over your entire garden, which is a shame because it's so pretty. Right, so I'm doing all of these edges, only because I don't want a bunch of like white showing through. I want my leaves to stand out. I haven't even done my card base yet, I'll let you know. So eventually I'm going to run away and do my card base. And I've got loads of bits. Look at that. I've been using this one now for a couple of years and just totally destroyed it on the edges of my cardstock. But you can see as I put that down now, all the edges of the leaves are nicely defined. So I'll just pick those off for a second and shake this in my little bin. And I'll turn it over so that we've got a nice clean sheet to look at. Oh, I've got a little bit of fluffy bits off that blender still stuck on here, so I just want to get those off. And then I'm going to be using the embossing dabber and using that to stamp with. I'm just making sure I've got no little black fluffy bits stuck to my leaves. There we go. Right, now the stamps. I'm using a Lena Craft stamp block, and of course I'm going in with my Mango Craft stamp. So let's do that kind of sycamore leaf first. I haven't got a clue what kind of leaf it is. If you know, do tell me. Right, so they're done. I'm just going to move those out of the way because I'm going to need to go in with embossing powder. Now, my problem is this. Can you see? I've got little black bits and I don't want to shake that into my embossing powder when I'm done. So here's our little leaf. There's our stamp. And just take the lid off this. And sometimes I think it's a good idea to just make sure that you've got some coming out. We'll find out. So you just quite literally tap it. Now this is a distress embossing liquid, and also the felt there makes it more distressed. Hang on, I'm just testing to make sure I've got some. Yeah, I do believe I have. So I've got that. Now you can stamp down or you can put your piece on top. It's entirely up to you. So just to show you, because normally people would stamp down, I'm going to pop it on here and show you exactly what I mean. And these are a little bit distressed, so you're not going to get clean, crisp perfection with the technique that I'm doing. So if you wanted to do it like that, that is how you would do it. Now we're going to take the cap off our embossing powder and get that down. I'm just going to dump it all over. And I like to stick my fingers into things. I do this when I'm doing glitter and sequins as well. I put just enough on so that I can make sure that it's gone wherever I've stamped, and then I just shake it off my fingers. And then somewhere around here, because I used them yesterday, is a pair of tweezers, but who knows. So anyway, I'm just going to go in on the edge. There we are. Make a glorious mess. And the embossing on there, I think that looks kind of nice and rustic. So I'm just tapping off my excess. Put that to one side while I push all this back into the bottle. There we go. So I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do my others in exactly the same way. I'll cut a card base and then we'll make a card. So I'll just get my heat tool hot off camera. There we go, that should do it. And just wait for this to start melting. And I'm just moving it down slowly. It took me a long time to realise that waving my heat tool around, you know, just isn't very good. Because it takes forever to get what you want done. So let's have a look at that. Let's do a nice close-up. Oh, I'm going to get there with my camera. Yay, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, that's lovely. Right, I'm going to do the others. I'll make a card base and we'll come back and do a card. Okay, so I had a little tidy up and I finished. So this is what they look like. So this is my idea of a bit of autumn. But of course you can use your stamp set however you want to use it. I just love that detail. Now my card base, I've decided 5 by 5, so my card base is in craft, but I've got a white one and I don't want it to be totally white. This one is 4 3/4. So what I want to do is stamp my base using that sycamore stamp, and I just want to use black ink. I've also done a sentiment from that stamp set, "You're a blessing in my life," so I'm just going to pop that there. And here is that stamp that I quite like, and I'm just going to random on the background. That's all I want to do. So I'm just inking this up. I need to get some re-inker for this pad. I must go on Amazon this weekend and have a look at how much it is. So I just want to randomly stamp it everywhere. Make sure I ink it all up this time. And I'm going to go one in the middle. So I'm turning my block over because I'm missing bits as I'm stamping up and down. I'm going to go one there. So I'm creating my own pattern background. And the idea really for me is to do like a little cluster or bouquet of those leaves. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And I'm going to go over on the other side. It's going to go in there. I do like stamping off edge. I think sometimes a black and white version of what you've done in colour can just look really nice. And then I'm just going to put a little piece here. And you can see how much of the stamp I've missed, but I'm not worrying because hopefully my decoration's going to hide my errors. Right, so I'm going to stick with that. I'm just going to tidy up and I'll be right back. Right, so I've tidied up and done that, and you know, please forgive my pressure areas. That's my fault. It's not the stamp, as you can see. The stamp is absolutely fine. That's me. Right, so we're making a bouquet of these, and I kind of want my bigger ones over there, and then I think I'll tuck that one there and have that one there. And then I kind of might lift that one up a bit. I don't know. Have a look. Or I could scatter them about. I'm wondering what it would look like if I just picked them up and they fell. Now I'm going to go with my bouquet. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that and stick with it. So I just need my glue bottle. And I'm going to pretty much centre it. I'm only sticking down my bottom leaves, because I want a little bit of movement. Ooh, I'm going to go all quiet now. I'm going to tuck that one up there. So I'm only sticking on the bottom end again. And then I like this shape one as well. Got a good blob on there. Whether I want that on top. Yeah, I think I will. I'll go over on that one. And then on this one, I don't know whether I want it up on foam. I think I do. I'm going to put that one on foam. So I've got a little bit of tape left. I'm just going to cut a piece. And pop it in here. I've got a little bit of white there. I don't know if that matters or not. No, actually, I'm going to stick with a bit of white there. And then I've got my little sentiment. You can put your sentiment wherever you want to. And I'm playing with it. I'm looking at it from my perspective. And I'm going to go right at the bottom of this leaf. Take the back off. I think that's in the middle. Don't want to commit just yet. There. Oh, let's get rid of any blurredness. There we go. Oh, I really like that. And like I say, you know, me not putting enough pressure on the stamp. It might have looked better if I'd have done more leaves, maybe. Maybe done 7 or 8 leaves so that it looked a little bit more full. But I do like it, and I do love the idea of using the brusho and the embossing powder. I just think it stands out really well. But it is a lovely stamp set. But I thank you so much for joining me today. I do hope you have an absolutely awesome weekend, and as usual, all links below. Bye.